Welcome to episode 216 of the Grow Your Independent Consulting Business podcast. This is Melisa Liberman, and today we're talking about how to identify leaks in your consulting business development process so that you're better able to create predictable, fulfilling revenue for your business. So that's what we're here for, identifying leaks. I've been seeing leaks all over the place, and quite frankly, I think uh, you, things are volatile in the market out there. And so these leaks are becoming much more prevalent, much more recognizable, much more impactful because of, just because of the time that we're living in right now. So whether you're listening to this in the real time, this concept of these leaks, helping you to identify your leaks in your business can be very important in this moment in time that we're working in, or if you're listening to this in the future and maybe things aren't quite as volatile, this is still a really important concept to implement, to be aware of and implement in your business so that you're able to hit your goals, so that you're able to build the business that you love, so that you're able to bring the vision that you have for your business to life and to achieve beyond what you might have thought was even possible for yourself. So that's what we're here. That's why we're having this talk today, you and I, and let's dive in. Before we do, though, I thought I might share well, first of all, I'll say something that's very ironic. Over the weekend, my 14-year-old, I told him that I was doing some stuff, and I said, you need to do the dishes. And I can't remember now. I had left the house. I came back, and he had done the dishes, but he had put dish soap, so like hand dish soap, into the dishwasher, which is not good. There's like suds everywhere. I mean, in hindsight, if you're 14 and you don't know that there's a difference between like dishwashing fluid and dishwasher detergent, it's an honest mistake. So anyway, we have the dishwasher repairman coming today because whatever ChatGPT and YouTube told me to do didn't work. But I thought it was kind of ironic that as I'm recording this episode today about leaks, I literally have one at our house. We had to unplug all the things to get it to stop spinning. Anyway, it's kind of those basic things that you just kind of know. And I guess you have to learn when you're growing up. So anyway, that is what's happening over here. The other thing that I want to tell you about before we dive into today's episode, I am working on some really fun, impactful products that they're physical products that I am going to be releasing. I'm hoping this summer in the Q3 timeframe. Getting through manufacturing and all of that stuff is a lot more challenging than I thought it would be. So anyway, but the reason I'm telling you this is a little sneak peek into what's happening later this year, more tools to help you be successful as a business owner, both from a logistical and tactical perspective, as well as from a mindset perspective. So if you're interested in seeing seeing the behind the scenes of what it looks like to bring a physical product to the market, or just a new product in general, or if you just really love physical products, I would recommend two things. Number one, I'm going to start posting some of this behind the scenes on my LinkedIn profile, so you can come and connect with me there. And just send a connection request and tell me you heard about it on the podcast. I'd love to accept your connection requests. And then secondarily, I will also be adding it as a bit of a footnote into the weekly newsletter called The Independent. So I send out an email every Friday with the goal of providing value to you, providing additional motivation or sometimes tough love, tips, strategies, resources to make you more successful as a business owner, to help you take a step back and look at your business instead of in your business. And so if you want to get all of that along with these behind the scenes, you can go subscribe at melisaliberman.com/newsletter. We'll put the link in the show notes as well, because my name is missing all sorts of letters. Okay, with that, let's dive into today's episode, which is identifying and addressing the leaks in your business development process. So, the agenda for today, first, we'll talk about what is a leak. Then, we'll talk about 8 common leaks that I see, mostly in business development, but some in other parts of your business. Then we'll talk about what I'll call the consultant leak framework, and then I'll give you a couple of examples so that you can really bring this to life, so that you can think about how this applies in your business. Because I can assure you, it applies in all of our businesses, mine included. So everyone's got a leak somewhere. And so let's go find the most impactful leak for you so that you can address it this quarter. And then we'll wrap up with next steps to put this episode into action. So with that, let's talk about what is a leak. Before we do, though, I wanted to share with you one other companion resource. So we just talked about the newsletter. I also want to encourage you, if you haven't taken it ever or recently, I would go take the Consultant Business Health Check. It's incredibly relevant to today's topic because this helps you to assess 14 different areas of your consulting business, identify the lowest performers, the highest performing systems in your business, and then helps you to use that as a baseline for making decisions about priorities and what you're going to change and double down on in this coming, in the next quarter or next half of a year. So you can go find that at icassessment.com. And again, we'll put the link in the show notes. Okay, so with all of that, now we're ready to really dive into the meat of today's topic, which is what's a leak? What is a leak? When I talk about a leak, what is this? I'm sure you work with your own clients, your consulting clients on their own leaks. You might not call it this, but it's certainly it's a leak is a a leak in your process refers to a point where value, efficiency, or opportunity is unintentionally lost. So you've got a process, and a leak might be that you don't have a process, but let's say that you do have a process, even if it's incredibly loose, even if it's not written down, even if it's just kind of what you make up as you go. Those are processes. A leak in your process refers to a point where the value, the efficiency, or the opportunity is unintentionally lost. It's where the process breaks down and causes slippage, which is usually oftentimes invisible until you start tracking it, measuring it, thinking about it. And that's what we're here for today on this episode. So with that, let's bring this to life with some examples. 8 common leaks that you might be experiencing right now in your business, or you might hit as you're continuing forward. Or sometimes you fix it and it springs another leak. So this is not just something you fix forever. It's something that requires constant care and feeding, constant thinking about and noticing where the leaks are. If you fixed them in the past, maybe they need some reinforcement. Maybe you've never fixed them. Maybe you've never even thought about what the process is. All of those things are relevant and happen all the time. Okay, so with that, 8 common leaks that you may resonate with. Number 1, or feel they may sound familiar to you. Number 1, the first of those 8 common leaks: not generating conversations outside of your immediate network. So we're talking about business development right now. If you're you might have an unhealthy pipeline. Your pipeline might have a lower overall value than what you know is what you need to hit your revenue goals. You might not have a repeatable process for your pipeline, as an example. One of the leaks that might be contributing to that is that you're not generating conversations outside of your immediate network. Another contributing factor or leak to not having a healthy pipeline is you might be getting stuck in the friend zone where you're meeting potential clients, but those conversations aren't going anywhere. Another common leak that independent consultants and boutique consultancy owners face is repeatedly getting ghosted. You might get ghosted here and there. I do. It's not something you could avoid. Or if you're completely avoiding it, you're likely playing small. So, but what I'm talking about here is you might have a leak where you're repeatedly getting ghosted, maybe 50% of the time or 30% of the time, really thinking about that as one of the leaks that is contributing to the overall lack of health in your pipeline. Or thinking back to your overall revenue goals. One of the leaks, if you're not hitting your revenue goal and you're not on track to hit your revenue goal, it might be because you're not, one of the opportunities you might be missing, or your leak is that you're not selling continuation type work to ideal clients. Or back to your pipeline, you might not, one of the leaks might be that you're not generating inbound leads, that everything is outbound. One of the leaks to your overall revenue goal might be that you're underpricing. Overall, in terms of your capacity and utilization, one of your leaks, if you're finding yourself that you don't have enough time in the day or the week or the month, it might be that your leak is you're spending too much time on low impact tasks, or that you have a leak that where you are having a slow start to your engagements. It's taking time to create traction in your engagements, and you notice maybe that first month is harder to create impact for your clients compared to the subsequent months. So those are some examples, primarily in business development, although one or two in delivery, where you want to be thinking about where your leaks might be. So as we think about the leaks, why do these leaks matter? Truthfully, these leaks are everything, right? These leaks are everything because likely you have a process of some sort to acquire new work and deliver new work. At a very high level, you have a process. For me, even before I really realized I was running a business, I thought I was just making some extra money in between corporate jobs, corporate roles when I first started, because I had resigned from my from the company the software company that I helped to start and grow. And I resigned, and we moved to Hawaii for my husband's career, if you've heard that story before. And then I just kind of thought I was generating some extra cash while I was in Hawaii in between careers, where my kids are really small. And that was all I thought about. When I started to think about this as a business, when I started to think about this as this is my long-term plan, this is what I want to do professionally, it wasn't that I didn't have a process when I was thinking about it as, oh, this is just a stopgap. I did have a process for acquiring clients. It just had a lot of leaks in it. And so for you, even if you could say, oh, I don't have a flow chart, or I don't exactly know what I'm doing. If you've landed a client, you have a process. It's just that it might not be a very good one or a repeatable one or predictable one. So when you think about, the reason why I'm talking about this is, if you're newer to consulting, don't get into the trap of, well, I better build out all my processes first and then I could find the leaks. No, instead think about, I've already got processes. I've already landed a client. Now where are the leaks? Let me take what I've already done and optimize that, improve upon it, rather than feeling like you're starting from scratch. Okay, this is important because so often we think, oh, I better go back and do this all correctly. And really all we're doing is avoiding uncomfortable things by what we call productive procrastination, right? I don't want this to turn into productive procrastination for you. So with that in mind, let's talk about why these leaks matter. At the end of the day, this is everything. These leaks are what are causing you to not hit your revenue goal, or maybe not even to set a revenue goal. These leaks are what's causing you to take on work that isn't as fulfilling. These leaks are what's causing you to be up at night worrying about where your next client is going to come from. These leaks are making your business harder to run. This business actually doesn't have to be that difficult. It's a very straightforward business model. It's an incredible business model in so many ways. But for most of us as consultants, we're making it harder than it needs to be. So we're good at that. We're good at that. We love solving problems. So a lot of times we create our own to then solve. When you have these leaks, whether they're big, like my dishwasher situation, or smaller, they're making your business harder to run. They're causing you to leave money on the table. And they're causing you to have more stress, more worry, more self-doubt than is necessary for you. The goal here is for you to create your own employer of choice where you get to do what you want, when you want, how you want, with whom you want, for how much you want. You get to choose everything. And these leaks are diluting your ability to do that. And that's why they're important. So let's talk about a framework for you to figure out what the leaks are and what to do about them. And then I'll give you a couple of examples so that you could put this framework into action in your business. First of all, the framework, you've got to find your leaks. Go take that assessment that I shared with you. If you're not sure where your leaks are, or you want an external perspective to help you, go take that assessment. It's at IC, the two letters IC for independent consultant assessment.com. Go take the assessment and it will help you think about areas that you might not even have considered, but go find all of your leaks and then start doing a leak diagnostic. What's causing these leaks? Might be process. It might be something that is missing in your process or unstated in your process or just needs to be refined in your process. It might be that you're lacking a skill of some sort. And it also is likely partially created by your mindset, the way you're thinking about something. The term I love to use, which I learned from one of my own coaches, is you're having thought errors. You're having thought errors. You think your business should work one way. If you thought differently, it would work in a more optimal way. You think your clients operate in a certain way. If you start thinking about the way your clients are thinking, it will help you to shift. That's what I'm talking about there. So you want to be thinking about what's the root cause of the leak after you've identified one by one. What are all the leaks in your business, and then what are causing them? And then prioritize what is the most important leak here. What do I think out of all these leaks I've identified? And believe me, we've all got leaks everywhere. But we can't tackle them all at once. So which one or two, max three are the biggest needle movers? If you repaired that leak, reduce that leak, it would make the greatest impact to your business. And then based on that, find a hypothesis to address the leak. What does good look like for this by fixing this leak? What does great look like if the leak was turned off? What methods or strategies or mindsets will you test to address that leak? And create a guiding question for yourself. I'll give you a couple of examples here in a moment, but I find that can really constrain the challenge down to something that's manageable when you create a guiding question for yourself. It will make this, and the examples I'll give you here in a minute will help you to see how that kind of guiding question can really help you to constrain, to really help you from getting distracted by all the problems you could be solving or thinking about all the problems you haven't even addressed yet. So we want to leverage that guiding question concept I'll give you here in a minute as an example. Then once you've created that hypothesis, then you want to identify and address any blockers. So once you decide, okay, this is how I'm going to fix a leak. Now what could get in my way from fixing that leak? Identify that and find solutions or workarounds. And then finally, you want to implement your leak mitigation plan. Test it, iterate it. Know that there's no right or wrong answer. There's no getting an A on this. There's no magic bullet. You've got to make your best guess as a hypothesis. Go implement your hypothesis and then test it and iterate and evaluate it. That's the consultant's leak formula. We'll put all 6 of those steps into the show notes for you. Okay, let's talk through 2 specific examples so that we can really bring to life what we're talking about here today. The first example I want to give you is of a consultant who came to me and as we were talking through and looking at their whole business, we identified that one of their biggest problems was an unhealthy pipeline. We realized that the pipeline that this consultant had, what the value of that pipeline wouldn't support his revenue goals. And so as we started peeling back the layers, at first he was thinking, well, the reason why my pipeline isn't healthy is I don't have enough time to work on it, or I don't have, I haven't been posting on LinkedIn but as we were really peeling back the layers, we realized that the leak for him had to do with the fact that on a weekly basis, and then if you rolled it up on a monthly basis, he was simply not meeting enough potential clients, connectors, collaborators, and channels. You might say that, well, obviously, that would be probably the number one reason why you wouldn't have a healthy pipeline. But the question then was, why not? Why aren't you meeting enough potential clients, connectors, collaborators, channels to uncover opportunity and to then turn that into, a healthy pipeline? And for this particular consultant right now, he's working on a lot of outbound type leads. So he asked, why are you not having these conversations? Wherever they come from, right? They might come from networking. They might come from attending events. They might come from introductions. So a little bit of them come from speaking and content publishing for him. Why are you not having these conversations with potential clients, collaborators, connectors, and channels? And his simple answer was he wasn't prioritizing it. There were other things taking up the time in his day and his week with client delivery, which of course, most of us have that challenge, that tension sometimes of how do I effectively deliver what my clients need while at the same time not neglecting my business? At the end of the day, when we pulled all of these things back, we figured out that his leak was logistical in that he wasn't prioritizing the time it took to have those conversations or the process that he had already built to create the conversations in the first place. But the leak had to do also with his mindset, which is boiled down to he was worried that he would do it wrong, have those conversations in a way that didn't go anywhere. And on the best case, and then on the worst case, that they would somehow taint the relationship or kind of create a one and done and ruin the opportunity forever. That was the leak. The leak was about the mindset around him worrying that he would do these conversations incorrectly and that ultimately it would be a waste of his time because they wouldn't go anywhere. It wasn't because he didn't have enough time. He has 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, probably 40 minutes at least on Fridays. But the leak had to do with the way he was thinking. And so for him, what we did was the approach to addressing the leak really was twofold. Number one, there was some logistical, just really building a routine around making sure he knew what his plan was for the week and when he was going to execute that plan during the course of the week so that he did a little bit each day rather than trying to do it all in one big, kind of block. And then the second approach to addressing the leak for him is the mindset work that he needed to do in order to overcome that productive procrastination and to redirect that thought process that he would be doing it wrong and it would be a waste of time and he might even risk the relationship by doing the wrong thing. That was his approach to addressing this leak. The guiding question that he used to start really addressing the leak repeatedly was, what 2 to 3 adjustments can I make to ensure I'm regularly connecting with people outside of my current network? The question wasn't, how do I find more time? The question wasn't, how do I get better at this? The question was, what 2 to 3 adjustments can I make to ensure I'm regularly connecting with people outside my current network? That framing of a question really opens up so much more possibility, makes it so much less black and white, and helps to open up the creative problem solving side of his brain rather than how can I get better at this or how can I fix this, which so many of us, that's the question we ask ourselves, not what 2 to 3 adjustments can I make to ensure I'm regularly connecting with people outside of my current network. And then finally, the results for him from this leak mitigation process that we implemented were, number one, he had a consistent process he could measure. He got to the place where he had a prioritized list on Mondays of who he was going to talk to and how he was going to meet them. Sometimes it was networking, sometimes it was events, sometimes it was speaking, whatever that looked like. and then blocking out the time that he would spend throughout the week rather than thinking he could do it all in one kind of chunk on a Friday. Logistically, that's what he did to mitigate the leak. And then mindset wise, he continuously asked himself that guiding question and gave himself the mindset, worked on the mindset, implemented the mindset, installed the mindset that I'm meeting people. I don't know where will go. It's possible that they could turn into an amazing client, or I could help them in some other way. And that framing, rather than this better go somewhere, this better be a good use of my time, really loosened up that perfectionism for him. As a result, he added 650K to his pipeline. So that gives you hopefully a detailed example of how this was implemented for this particular client. Now let's talk about the second example that I want to share with you today, and then we'll wrap up the episode of how you can put this into action for your business. But it's this concept of the friend zone. I talk to so many consultants who tell me, I'm having a lot of conversations. I network a lot. I go to events. I meet people in forums or in Slack groups or through referrals or word of mouth. There's so many different ways you're having conversations with potential clients, with potential connectors, with potential collaborators, with potential channels, but they're not going anywhere. That's the friend zone that we've been talking about. So the question is, based on that problem, conversations aren't going anywhere, and therefore I don't have a healthy pipeline. Let's talk about what the root cause might be, or the leak. The leak in this example is that this particular client didn't have a particular consultant who is my client, I should say it that way. She didn't have a compelling offer for the next step. So she was having all of these conversations, but she was kind of being passive and waiting for the person she was talking to or was talking to offer the next step. Oh, I would love to hear more about what you do, or could you help me solve this problem, or is XYZ problem something you help clients to solve? That's what she was waiting for. And that wasn't being said to her very often. And so then she was feeling stuck in this friend zone. So if we put this all on her, which I love doing, we don't have to rely on other people to make us successful. Let's figure out how to make ourselves successful. The leak was caused by her not making a compelling offer for a next step. Now let's take that one more level. Why wasn't she doing that? At the end of the day, she didn't want to be pushy. She didn't want to be salesy. She wanted to be kind of I'll use the word nonchalant or something, in order to hope that they would recommend the next step. And so from that mindset and from that piece of missing process, which were the leaks, then we were able to define her next step, which was the leak mitigation plan, which was, let's create what I'll call a hook offer. Like an offer, you're having a networking call with someone, and they're in the ballpark of the types of problems that you solve, the challenges they're having, or the type of work they do, or even their title in their organization, are the types of problems or the types of people that you work with. What would a hook offer be? What would create a conversation? You want to be thinking about this for your business. What would a good hook offer be for you to get them to take the next step, which is having a conversation specifically about a problem they're having, to see if you could help them solve it? So the guiding question to start building out and filling in this leak would be something to the effect of, what would be 2 to 3 next steps I could offer that would be valuable as a next step for my ideal client? A hook offer. What 2 to 3 hook offers could I have in my back pocket that would be valuable as a next step for when I'm having conversations with my ideal client? And the mindset might be, it's really valuable to offer a next step to them. There's no doubt then in their mind what happens next. There's no doubt in my mind what happens next as the person talking to them, and they get to choose yes or no. It doesn't have to be pushy. So ultimately, for this particular consultant, they started offering a valuable next step in every conversation. Sometimes it would be about a strategy session. Other times it might be about sharing a book or an introduction to someone else. It doesn't always have to be a compelling offer, but they were always offering a valuable next step, a very tangible next step, and a time for the next step. Hey, listen, I'm going to send you this book. Let's meet again next quarter and talk about how things are going. I'm I'm curious what you want your business unit to look like in 3 months, whatever that might be. The mindset that they worked on in terms of this leak mitigation framework was it's possible that having a clear next step is valuable to the person I'm talking to, not pushy. And ultimately, their result is that they increase the conversation to lead percentage by 32%. So 32% more of the conversations they were having were being turned into leads and next steps as a result of this. So, this hopefully gives you a couple of very tangible ideas about what this leak identification and mitigation process will look like for you and your business, and what difference it will make if you're really sitting down and thinking about where are the leaks in my business? What is my hypothesis about the root cause? What techniques can I use from a mindset perspective, from a strategy perspective, from a process perspective, from a tactical perspective to address this leak? And build yourself a leak mitigation or even leak prevention plan. Those are the next steps to put this episode into action. So, number one, look at your business. What is your number one leak? If you go to icassessment.com, you can find that health assessment and it will help you to start thinking about the leaks that you might not have even identified. Number two, build a leak mitigation or leak prevention plan, like I just mentioned. And then number three, get help. It's very hard to see these leaks for ourselves. It's a very challenging, even if we do see the leaks, to figure out addressing which one will make the most impact. And then finally, it's so easy for us to have confirmation bias where we're telling ourselves something that then we agree with because that's what our brain is trained to do. To have someone who helps you with an external perspective, to look at the problems differently, to help you to see if you're solving even the right problem at the right time, or perhaps something else will move the needle more for you. That's the type of work that I do as a coach for consultants. You can reach out and apply for a coaching exploratory call at consultmelisa.com, and I will see you again next week. Take care.